welcome to Number Crunch. Today we are tackling KCSE 2018 Paper 2 Section 2. Starting from question 17, the 5th and 10th terms of an arithmetic progression are 18 and -2 respectively. Part A, find the common difference and the first term. So to find any term t in an arithmetic series is equals to a plus n minus 1d, where a is the first term, n is the number of the term, and d is the common difference. Therefore, since we've been given the value of the 5th term and the 10th term, so our 5th term will be a into 5 minus 1d, which is equals to 18, and this can be simplified, and we obtain a plus 4d is equals to 18, and we shall denote that as our first equation. Then for the 10th term, we have a plus 10 minus 1d is equals to -2. Therefore, a plus 9d is equals to -2, and that is our second equation. Then from equation 1, where we have a plus 4d is equals to 18, we shall subtract 4d from both sides of the equation to form a is equals to 18 minus 4d, and we shall denote that as our third equation. Then from equation 2, we have a plus 9d is equals to -2, and since we have an equation where we have a is equals to 18 minus 4d, we shall substitute a with the third equation. Hence, we have 18 minus 4d plus 9d is equals to -2. We simplify, we have 18 plus 5d is equals to -2. Subtract 18 from both sides of the equation. We have 5d is equals to -20. Divide both sides by 5, and hence d is equals to -4. Then from our third equation, we have a is equals to 18 minus 4d. And since we have the value of d, we can substitute it. So we have a is equals to 18 minus 4 into -4, and hence a is equals to 34. So the first term, which is denoted as a, is equals to 34, and the common difference d is equals to -4. Part B, determine the least number of terms which must be added together so that the sum of the progression is negative. Hence, find the sum. In arithmetic progression, the general formula for obtaining the summation of terms is equals to n over 2 into 2a plus into n minus 1d, where a is the first term, n is the number of terms, and d is the common difference. And we've been asked to find the number of terms where the summation is negative. So for the summation to be negative, it means it is less than 0. Therefore, n over 2 into 2 into 34 plus into n minus 1 into -4 will be less than 0. N over 2 into 68 minus 4n plus 4 is less than 0. And n over 2 into 72 minus 4n is less than 0. We open the bracket, we have 36n minus 2n squared is less than 0. This can be written as -2n squared plus 36n is less than 0. We divide both sides of the equation by -2, and we obtain n squared minus 18n is greater than 0. When you do a division by a negative, the symbol changes. So if it was less than, it changes to be greater than. If it was greater than, it changes to be less than. Then we use the completing the square method to solve the inequality. We have n squared minus 18n plus 18 over 2 squared is greater than 0 plus -18 over 2 squared, where -18 over 2 is our b over 2a squared. Simplified, that is n squared minus 18n plus into negative 9 squared is greater than 81. Then we have the algebraic formula: a minus b squared is equals to a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. This is similar to our equation, and therefore our a is n and our b is negative 9. So n minus 9 squared is greater than 81. We square root both sides in order to find the value of n. So n minus 9 is greater than 8. Sorry, n minus 9 is greater than 9, or n minus 9 is greater than negative 9. We add 9 to both sides of the inequality. We have n is greater than 18, or n is greater than 0. So in short, it means n is greater than 18. And since we've been asked for the least number of terms, we can only add 1 to 18. Therefore, our n is equals to 19. Then we've been asked to find the sum of the terms that give us a negative summation. So the sum of 19 terms will be 19 over 2 into 2 into 34 plus into 19 minus 1 into negative 4. And this gives us negative 38. Question 18, part A. Complete the table below for the equation y is equals to x squared minus 4x plus 2. The equation again is y is equals to x squared minus 4x plus 2, and you are supposed to complete the table where you are supposed to populate the values of y for the given values of x. So when x is 0, the equation will be 0 squared minus 4 into 0 plus 2, which is equals to 2. 1 squared minus 4 into 1 plus 3 is equals to negative 1. 2 squared minus 4 into 2 plus 2 is negative 2. 3 squared minus 4 into 3 plus 2 is equals to negative 1. 4 squared minus 4 into 4 plus 2 is 2. And 5 squared minus 4 into 5 plus 2 is equals to 7. Question 18, part B. On the grid provided, draw the graph y is equals to x squared minus 4x plus 2 for x greater than or equals to 0 and x less than or equals to 5. Use 2 centimeters to represent 1 unit on the x-axis and 1 centimeter to represent 1 unit on the y-axis. The equation is y is equals to x squared minus 4x plus 2. We obtain the values of y for the given values of x, where we have when x is 0, y is 2, and 1, negative 1, 2, negative 2, 3, negative 1, 4, 2, and 5, 7. Then we've been told to represent the graph using a scale of 2 centimeters represents 1 unit for the x-axis and 1 centimeter represents 1 unit for the y-axis. So let's go ahead. This is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. We have our 0 there. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. then this is -1, -2. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So when x is 0, y is 2. You mark it on the graph. When x is 1, y is -1. When x is 2, y is -2. When x is 3, y is -1. When x is 4, y is 2. And when x is 5, y is 7. Then now you join the dots or the points. And there we have our graph, which is y is equals to x squared minus 4x plus 2. Part C. Use the graph to solve the equation x squared minus 4x plus 2 is equals to 0. This is the copy of the graph that we've just drawn. And the graph is that of the equation y is equals to x squared minus 4x plus 2. And we've been asked to solve x squared minus 4x plus 2 is equals to 0. We can rewrite this to be the same as the graph. So we have 0 is equals to x squared minus 4x plus 2. Then, in order to know where the points of interest lie, we subtract the two equations. So y minus 0, that is the values on the left hand side of the equation of the two equations, is equals to x squared minus 4x plus 2 minus x squared minus 4x plus 2, because they are the same on the right hand side. So our points of interest lie on the line y is equals to 0, and the line y is equals to 0 is the x-axis. Therefore, we are supposed to read off the values of x that cuts the x-axis, and the values are x is equals to 0.55 and x is equals to 3.45. Part D. By drawing a suitable line, use the graph in B to solve the equation x squared minus 5x plus 3 is equals to 0. The graph in part B was that of y is equals to x squared minus 4x plus 2, and we are supposed to solve x squared minus 5x plus 3 is equals to 0. So just like we did in part C, we shall rewrite this, and it becomes 0 is equals to x squared minus 5x plus 3. Then we find the line graph, and we shall do that by subtracting the left hand side of the equation and the right hand side of the equation. So y minus 0 is equals to x squared minus 4x plus 2 minus x squared minus 5x plus 3. And therefore, y is equals to x squared minus x squared is 0, minus 4x minus 5x is similar to minus 4x plus 5x, hence the x, and 2 minus 3 is equals to -1. So we need to draw the line y is equals to x minus 1 on the graph in part B in order to obtain the points where the two lines intersect. we are supposed to draw the line y is equals to x minus 1. Y is equals to x minus 1. So we find the different values of x and y. When x is 1, we can use when x is 1, 2, and 3. So when x is 1, y is 0. When x is 2, y is 1. And when x is 3, y is 2. So we mark those points. Point 1, 0. Point 2, 1. And point 3, 2. Then we join the points. So that is the line y is equals to x minus 1. Then now our point of interest is the points of intersection. So we read off the values. In the first case, x will be 4 point. At this point, x is equals to 4.3. And here, x is equals to 0.7. So that is how you solve such a question. Question 19. The table below shows the frequency distribution of height of 40 plants in a tree nursery. You have the height of plants in centimeters and the frequency. Part A, state the model class. The model class is the class with the highest frequency, and therefore it is the class 30 to 40 centimeters. Part B1, calculate the mean height of the plants. This is the table, and we've been asked to find the mean height of the plant. And for grouped data, the formula for obtaining mean is the summation of f of x divided by the summation of f, where f is the frequency and x is the midpoint of the grouped data, the midpoints of the classes of the grouped data. So we need to find the x's. And to find the midpoint, you take the upper limit of the class minus the lower limit of the class, divide by 2, then you add that value to the figure in the class, to the first figure in the class. So for example, where you have the class 0 to 10, it will be the upper limit is 10, the lower limit is 0. So 10 minus 0, which is 10, divided by 2 equals to 5. Then 0 plus 5 equals 5. So the midpoint in the first class is 5. You do the same for the other classes, and you obtain, for the class 10 to 20, the midpoint is 15. 10 to 30, midpoint is 25. 30 to 40 is 35. 40 to 50 is 45. And 50 to 60 is 55. Then you obtain fx, which is f times x. So 4 times 5 is 20, 8 by 15, 120, 10 by 25, 250, 12 by 35, 420, and 4 by 45, 180, 2 by 55, 110. Then you should do the summation of the f and the f of x. So the summation of f is 40, and the summation of f of x is 1100. Therefore, the mean will be the summation of f of x, which is equals to 1100, divided by the summation of f, which is 40, and therefore the mean height is 27.5 centimeters. Part B2, calculate the standard deviation of the distribution. So we are supposed to find the standard deviation. We have the data that we had been given, that is the height, the different groups of height and their frequencies. And to find the standard deviation, it is equals to the square root of the summation of f into x minus the mean squared over the summation of f. We have already obtained the value of the mean, which is equals to 27.5 as obtained at part B1. Then we had computed the x's for the different groups, where we had 5, 15, 25, 35, 45, and 55 respectively. So the first step, we are going to compute the x minus the mean. So we have, for example, in the first case, we have 5 minus 27.5, which is equals to 22.5. The next group will be 12.5. We have negative 2.5, 7.5, 17.5, and 27.5. Then we are going to square the x minus the mean. We have 506.25, 156.25, 6.25, 56.25, 306.25, and 756.25. Then we shall multiply the f times the x minus the mean squared. Like for example, in the first case, it is 4 times 506.25, which is equals to 2025, 1250, 62.5, 675, 1225, and lastly 1512.5. Then we find the summation of the frequency and f into x minus mean squared. So the summation of the frequency is 40 as computed in part B1, and the summation of f into x minus mean squared is 6750. Therefore, the standard deviation will be the square root of 6750 divided by 40, which is equals to the square root of 168.75, and the value is 12.99 centimeters, and I've corrected my answer to 2 decimal places. Part C, determine the probability that a plant taken at random has a height greater than 40 centimeters. So we have been asked to find the probability that the height is greater than 40 centimeters. So from our table, to obtain the probability where the height is greater than 40 centimeters, it will be the summation of frequencies where the height is greater than 40 over the total frequency. So the frequencies where the height is greater than 40 is in the group 40 to 50, where the frequency is 4, and the group 50 to 60, where the frequency is 2. So it's 4 plus 2 over the total frequency, which is 40. This is the same as 6 over 40. You simplify, you obtain 3 over 20. So the probability that the height is greater than 40 is 3 over 20. Question 20a. Using a ruler and a pair of compasses only, construct part 1, a parallelogram ABCD with line AB below as part of it, such that AD is equals to 7 centimeters and angle BAD is equals to 60 degrees. This is the line AB, and we are supposed to construct a parallelogram whereby we have ABCD. AD is 7 centimeters and BAD is 60 degrees. So the first step is to construct the angle 60 at point A. To do that, you take your compass and you mark along line AB, and you also make an arc. Then on the arc that you've made on line AB, place your compass and with the same radius, make another arc. And where the two arcs meet, that is where we have angle 60 degrees. And since B will also be the exterior angle of ABC will be 60 degrees, we can also construct 60 degrees at angle B. So we do the same thing. Then you measure 7 centimeters. You will use your pair of compass. You mark, and you mark also where we have point C. Then you join the 2 points. So this is our point D, and this is our point C, and there we have the parallelogram. Part 2. Construct the locus of points equidistant from AB and AD. We are supposed to construct the locus of points equidistant from AB and AD, and what that means, it's similar to the angle bisector of angle BAD. And since while we were constructing angle 60, we had markings in line AB and line AD using the same radius, we are going to use these markings to bisect angle BAD. So take your compass and make sure the radius is bigger than the radius used to make the first set of markings. Then you mark and mark. Where the two arcs intersect, you join them to point A. Then you draw a straight line. So that is the locus of points equidistant from AB and AD. Part 3. Construct the perpendicular bisector of BC. We are supposed to construct the perpendicular bisector of BC. To do that, take your pair of compasses and create a radius of more than half the length of BC. Then you mark on both sides of the line. And you do the same at point C. Then you join the 2 points. That is how you construct a perpendicular bisector of a line. Part B1, mark the point P that lies on DC and is equidistant from AB and AD. So, using the construction we have done in part A, we have been asked to mark point P which lies on DC and is equidistant from AB and AD. In short, we have been asked to find the point where the locus of the points equidistant from AB and AD touches line DC, and that point is point P. Part B2, measure BP. So you are going to use your construction to measure the length of BP. According to my construction, the length of BP is equals to 6.1 centimeters. Part C, describe the locus that the perpendicular bisector of BC represents. So we need to state what the perpendicular bisector of BC represents, and it represents the locus of points equidistant from B and C. Part D, calculate the area of trapezium ABCP. So from our construction, we need to find the area of ABCP, and the general formula of the area of a trapezium is a half h into a plus b. So in our case, the h is BP, a is AB, and b is CP. So the area will be a half times 6.1 into 10.1 plus 3, which is equals to 39.955 squared centimeters. However, this figure may vary slightly depending on the values you've obtained from your construction. Question 21. The table below shows some values of curves y is equals to 2 cos x and y is equals to 3 sin x. Complete the table for values of y is equals to 2 cos x and y is equals to 3 sin x. Correct to one decimal place. So those are the values that you've been given, and we are supposed to complete the table. So using the given values, we are going to start filling them up per column. So the first missing value is 2 cos x of 30 degrees, where x is equals to 30 degrees, and 2 cos 30 degrees is equals to 1.7. Then we have 3 sin 60 degrees, which is equals to 2.6. 2 cos 120 degrees is equals to negative 1. 3 sin 150 degrees is 1.5. 2 cos 180 degrees is negative 2. 3 sin 210 degrees is negative 1.5. 2 cos 270 degrees is 0. And 3 sin 270 degrees is negative 3. 3 sin 300 degrees is negative 2.6. And there we have the complete table, which will look something like this to make it look simpler. So there we have the filled up table. Part B, on the grid provided, draw the graphs of y is equals to 2 cos x and y is equals to 3 sin x for x between 0 degrees and 360 degrees on the same axis. We are supposed to draw the graph of y is equals to 2 cos x and y is equals to 3 sin x. So we'll start with the graph y is equals to 2 cos x. Using the values we obtained in the table in part A. This is our x and this is our y. And 360 degrees. The biggest value in the two charts is 2.6, sorry. So we are going to use the scale of 1. These are negatives. And this is our 0. So when x is 0, y is 2. When x is 30, y is 1.7. $61, 90, 0, 120, negative 1, 150, negative 1.7, 180, negative 2, 210, negative 1.7, 240, negative 1, 270, 0, 301, 330, 1.7, and 362. Then we are going to join the dots to form the curve. And so that is the graph of y is equals to 2 cos x. Then the next graph we are going to plot is y is equals to 3 sine x, using the same values we obtained in the table in part A. So 0 is 0. I'm going to use different points. 30 is 1.5. 62.6, 93, 122.6, 150, 1.5, 180, 0, 210, negative 1.5, 240, negative 2.6, 270, negative 3, 300, negative 2.6, 330, negative 1.5, and 360 is 0. Then you join the points as well. And that is the graph of y is equals to 3 sine x. Part C. Use the graph to find the values of x when 2 cos x minus 3 sine x is equals to 0. So here is our graph, and we've been told to find the values of x when 2 cos x minus 3 sine x is equals to 0. In other words, we are looking for the values of x where the two graphs intersect. And so the values of x are 35 degrees and to 15 degrees respectively. Part D. Use the graph to find the values of y when 2 cos x is equals to 3 sine x. So using the graph we plotted in part B, we are supposed to read off the values of y at the points of intersection, and so the values of y are 1.7 and negative 1.7. Question 22. The figure below is a model of a watchtower with a square base of side 10 centimeters. Height PU is 16 centimeters and slanting edges UV is equals to TV is equals to SV is equals to RV, which is equals to 13 centimeters. Giving the answer correct to two decimal places, calculate part A, the length MP. So we need to find the length MP, and since we've been told that the base is square, that means we can use the Pythagoras theorem to find the length MP, whereby a squared plus b squared is equals to c squared, and in our case the a is mn, the b is np, and the c is mp. Therefore 10 squared plus 10 squared is equals to mp squared, or rather mp squared is equals to 10 squared plus 10 squared, which is equals to 200. We square root both sides to find the value of mp, and mp is equals to 14.14 centimeters, correct to two decimal places. Part B, calculate the angle between mu and plane MNPQ. So we are supposed to find the angle between mu and plane MNPQ, and from the model we can tell that we have been asked to find angle UMP, and angle UMP is an angle of triangle UMP, which is a right angle at point P. Therefore, which is a right angle triangle at point P. Therefore, we can use basic trigonometric functions to find angle UMP. And in relation to UMP, we have the side MP, which is adjacent to angle UMP, and we have the side PU, which is opposite to angle UMP. Therefore, we can use tangent to find angle UMP. So, tan angle UMP will be PU, which is the opposite, over MP, which is the adjacent. So it is equals to 15 divided by 14.14, which is the figure we obtained in part A, and it's equals to 1.0608. Therefore, angle UMP will be the inverse tangent of 1.0608, which is equals to 46.69 degrees, correct to two decimal places. Part C, calculate length VO. So length VO will be the length between V and plane RSTU, and plane RSTU and plane MNPQ. So we first compute the length between V and plane RSTU, and to do that we can tell that there's a right angle triangle formed from point V to the midpoint of the plane RSTU. So, using Pythagoras theorem, the length of V to plane RSTU will be the length of the bisector of triangle VTU and a half the length of ST, both squared, then we find the square root. So first we are going to compute the length of the VTU bisector, which will be VU squared minus a half TU squared. Since V in relation to the bisector of triangle VTU, VU is the hypotenuse and TU is one of the sides, and V to the midpoint is the other side. And so this we have 13 squared minus 5 squared, which is equals to 12 centimeters. Then the length of the plane V, the length of V to the plane RSTU will be, so we substitute, since we have already computed the length of VTU bisector, which we obtained as 12 centimeters, minus 5 squared. And this is equals to 10.91 centimeters. So the length from V to plane RSTU is equals to 10.91 centimeters. So the length VO will be the length of V to plane RSTU plus the length between planes RSTU and MNPQ, which is equals to 10.91 plus 15, since it's similar to the length VU, which we have been given as 15 centimeters. So VO is equals to 25.91 centimeters, correct to decimal places. Part D, calculate the angle between planes VST and RSTU. So the angle between planes VST and plane RSTU. So to obtain that angle, we need to have a right angled triangle, and the right angled triangle can be formed by moving from point V to the midpoint of plane RSTU, from the midpoint of plane RSTU to the midpoint of ST, and from the midpoint of ST to V, where from the midpoint of ST to V is the hypotenuse. So if we let the angle of interest be x, using basic trigonometric functions, we can obtain the angle of between plane VST and plane RSTU will be cosine. We can use cosine since the length of the midpoint from the midpoint of ST to the midpoint of RSTU is similar to half the length TU, and the length of from V to the midpoint of ST can be denoted as the length VST bisector. So the half length TU is a half times 10, since TU is similar to NP, which is equals to 10 centimeters. So a half TU will be 5 centimeters. Then the length of VST bisector is the same as the length of VTU bisector, which we had computed in part C and obtained as 12 centimeters. So our angle X, if we use cosine, we have the adjacent as 5 centimeters and the hypotenuse as 12 centimeters. So cos X is equals to 5 over 12, which is equals to 0.4167. So X will be the inverse cosine of 0.4167, which is equals to 65.38 degrees to 2 decimal places. Question 23. The table below shows monthly income tax rates for a certain year. In that year, a monthly personal tax relief of 1,280 Kenya shillings was allowed. In a certain month of that year, Sila earned a monthly basic salary of 52,000 Kenya shillings, a house allowance of 7,800 Kenya shillings, and a commuter allowance of 5,000 Kenya shillings. Part A, calculate Sila's taxable income. So we are supposed to find the taxable income, and in this instance, the taxable income will be the basic salary plus the house allowance plus the commuter allowance, which is equals to 52,000 plus 7,800 plus 5,000, and the total is 64,800. Therefore, the taxable income is 64,800 Kenya shillings. Part A2, calculate the net tax payable by Sila in that month. You're supposed to find the net tax, and we've obtained that his salary, the net salary, is 64,800. Therefore, Sila will be taxed in all the tax brackets. So we need to find the amount taxed and the respective tax. Then we find that will give us the gross tax. Then we subtract the tax relief to obtain the net tax. So from the table we have been given, we can obtain the amount taxed per bracket, and you do that by subtracting the upper limit of each bracket minus the lower limit of each bracket. For example, in the first bracket, the upper limit is 11,180.5, and the lower limit is negative 0.5. So when you subtract the two, you obtain the tax amount in that bracket. The amount taxed in that bracket is 11,180. Then you do the same for all the other groups, and you obtain 10,534, 10,534, 10,534. But in the last group, you shall do the net pay, which was 64,800. So the upper limit will be 64,800.5 minus 42,782.5, and you obtain 22,018. Then now the tax per bracket, we multiply the tax rate times the amount taxed. Therefore, we have 1,118, 1,580.1, 2,106.80, 2,633.50, and 6,605.4. Then now the gross tax will be a summation of the respective tax per bracket, and you obtain 14,043.80. So the net tax will be the gross tax minus the tax relief, which is equals to 14,043.8 minus 1,280. Therefore, the net tax was 12,763.80. Part B. In July that year, Sila's basic salary was raised by 4%. Determine Sila's net salary in July. So we need to compute the net salary. So the first step is to find the new basic salary. And so the July basic salary will be 104% of the basic salary we had been given initially, which is equals to 104 over 100 times 52,000. Hence, the basic salary for July was 54,080 shillings. Then, the taxable income in July was the July basic salary plus the house allowance plus the commuter allowance, which is equals to 54,080 plus 7,800 plus 5,000. which is a total of 66,880. Then from this, we obtain the tax charge. But since we have already computed the respective taxes in each bracket, the only bracket that will be affected is the bracket above 42,782. So we are going to find the amount taxed in that bracket, which is 66,880 minus 42,782, which is equals to 24,098. So the amount taxed above 42,000 at the rate of 30% was 24,098. Then, so the tax charged at that rate will be 30 over 100 times the amount taxed above 42,782, which is equals to 7,229 and 40 cents. So since we already have the tax amounts in the respective brackets, the only bracket that will change is the last bracket. So we sum up to obtain the gross tax, which is equals to 1,118 plus 1,580 and 10 cents plus 2,106 and 80 cents plus 2,633 and 50 cents plus 7,229 and 40 cents. So the gross tax is equals to 14,667 and 80 cents. Then the net tax is the gross tax minus the tax relief, which is 14,667 and 80 cents minus 1,280. Hence we obtain 13,387 and 80 cents. So the net salary for July was the taxable income minus the net tax, which is equals to 66,880 minus 13,387 and 80 cents, hence equals 53,492 and 20 cents. Question 24. A hotel buys beef and mutton daily. The amount of beef bought must be at least 30 kilograms and that of mutton at least 20 kilograms. The total mass of beef and mutton should not exceed 100 kilograms. The beef is bought at 360 kilograms per kg. 360 Kenya shillings per kg, and the mutton at 480 Kenya shillings per kg. The amount of money spent on both beef and mutton should not exceed 43,200 per day. Let X represent the number of kilograms of beef and Y the number of kilograms of mutton. Part A. Write the inequalities that represent the above information. So we are supposed to write inequalities. So the first one, we are going to represent the amount of beef bought, and we have been told that it should be at least 30 kilograms. Therefore, X should be greater than or equals to 30. Then mutton should be at least 20 kilograms. Therefore, Y should be greater or equals to 20. Then we have been told that the total mass should not exceed 100 kilograms. That means when you add both X and Y, the total should be 100, should not exceed 100. Therefore, X plus Y is less than or equals to 100. And the amount spent should not exceed 43,200. And we've been given the price per kilogram of beef as 360 and the price per kilogram of mutton as 480. Therefore, 360x plus 480y is less than or equals to 43,200. Part B. On the grid provided, draw the inequalities in A above. We are supposed to represent the inequalities that we obtained in Part A. So we draw the grid first. I'm going to use the scale of 10. This is our x. And that is y. So the first inequality was x is greater than 30, greater or equals to 30. So to obtain that, to represent that in a graph, we are first going to draw the line x is equals to 30. And since the inequality is greater than or equals to, it will be a solid line. Then we shade the region that is false. And since x is greater or equals to 30, then this is the true region, and this side is the region that is not representative of the inequality. And we label that as x greater or equals to 30. The second one is y greater than or equals to 20. So just like we have done in the first one, we draw the line y is equals to 20, and it's a solid line because our inequality has an equal sign. We shade the unwanted region, which is this side. And we label this as y greater than or equals to 20. The third one was x plus y is less than or equals to 100. So we can use select points. Let's say if x is 10, y will be 90, and if x is 50, y will be 50. So we plot that. We have 10, 90 and 50, 50. Then you draw the line. For this inequality, x plus y is less than or equals to 100. Therefore, the region that does not satisfy the inequality is the outer region. You shade. And you label. This is x plus y less than or equals to 100. And lastly, we had 360x plus 480y. Sorry, this can't fit there. We have 360x plus 480y less than or equals to 43,200. We have our x and y. So if x is 12, y will be 81. And if x is 48, y will be 54. So we plot that. We have 12, 81. And 48, 54. And the unwanted region is where 360x plus 480y exceeds 43,200, which will be the outer region as well. And you label your inequality. This is 360x plus 480y less than or equals to 43,200. So that is how you plot inequalities. Question 24, part C. The hotel makes a profit of 50 shillings on each kilogram of beef and 60 shillings on each kilogram of mutton. Determine the maximum profit the hotel can make. So to determine the maximum profit the hotel can make, we are going to use the graph we have plotted in part B and read off the points of intersection. So the respective points are 30, 68, 40, 60, 80, 20, and 30, 20. So we are going to use these points to test whether which among them yields the maximum profit. So the first point, 30, 68, will yield a profit of 5,580. The second point is 4060. It will yield 5,600. The third point is 8020. It will yield 5,200. And the last point is 3020, which will yield a profit of 2,700. So out of this, we know that the point that yields the maximum profit is point 4060. And so, using the points of intersection, the values that yield the maximum profit are x equals to 40 and y is equals to 60. Then now, using the figures we have been given for the respective profit, we have the maximum profit is 50 times 40, whereby 50 is the profit yield per kilogram of beef, and 60 times 60, where 60 is the profit yield per kilogram of mutton, and the total is 5,600 Kenya shillings. Do you still have an unanswered question? Leave a comment or write an email to guruinmaths@gmail.com and we shall respond within 24 hours. Otherwise, subscribe to receive timely KCSE mathematics revision resources.